Hello everyone. It's a pleasure for me to today to present you comma flap indication and complication. Comma flap is a modified L flap, and I introduce the L flap. So it's the classic flap to remove a tumor with a round appearance and a triangle excision. The apex of triangle is in the less lax area of the skin, and the incision extended once and a half to length of the base. It's a classic flap. The flap is taking off and shooter with a corner point like here. But the inconveniences of the L flap, especially when used on the face, it creates a much larger loss of skin substance than the tumor because the circular area is transformed in the triangle area. It does not permit to insertion of shooter into the natural folds. The comma flap is the modified plasty. It is a rhomboid L flap. The tumor excision is in the circle with a safety margin and not with double scalpel, with one sample scalpel. The loss of the skin substance is around, and the surface is not much larger than the tumor. An arced incision, like here, an arced incision is made preferably in natural fold, 1.5 to 2 times the diameter. The flap is detached and a corner point used to suture. The comma flap is an economical autoplasty and loss of cutaneous substance. For example, a removal of centimeter diameter tumor with a safety margin of 0.5 centimeter at the periphery creates a loss of substance equal to 11.5 centimeter square centimeter with a classical L flap, and 7.06 centimeter with a square centimeter with a comma flap. You have difference, perhaps 3 square centimeter or 4. If I want to compare the comma flap and L flap, we say, and economical is and loss of cutaneous substance with comma flap. However, the loss of cutaneous substance much larger than the tumor L flap, and the final suture can be confused with the natural fold, not with L flap. The indication or specific of the comma flap permits to removal of tumor in areas with limited skin laxity, and especially an area where skin laxity is limited to single rib, lips, eyelids, temple, etc. Here we have some clinical cases. Here you have an image with on the left upper lip, and young patient skins, and near the labial corner. Navis is of the this navis the less substance is circular around, and we take we incision in the natural fold, and we have the shooter like comma, and 2 months later we have this result. Now, this case is basal cell carcinoma in right upper lip, and you excise the tumor like this, and we incision prolong the incision the fold and the natural fold, and you have so the shooter is like this, and you have a result on the month 11 months later. This carcinoma is an aged patient, and near the rim of the nostril orifice. And you have incision of the tumor, excision the tumor, and we take flap like this, and you have a good result without the clebion or and the orifice of those is it's not disequilibrated. Now, in this patient, basal cell carcinoma of the right cheek, but and this carcinoma is respecting the lower eyelid. Like here, don't touch lip, eyelid, and this patient is an anticoagulants. Detachment and hemostasis are very difficult. But we suture a natural fold, then we put a capital point to flap don't go down. We remove suture in 12 days, we have the result, and 5 weeks later you have this result, and we have without ectropion. But for the second tumor, basal cell carcinoma on the left of the cheek, the excision resection, fusiform resection of the left of this tumor, and we suture with Blair Donati plate. And and 2 months later, after 2 incisions, right and left, and electrocoagulation of 2 small carcinoma, and you have this result. This basal cell carcinoma is on the lower eyelid, but it touches the eyelid. And you see, donc you excise the tumor, okay, and with the margin security, and I take flap from here, and we just we finish intervention, and 10 days later, we have the eye is closed, it's good closed. We haven't ectropion. And 3 months later, we have this result. Another area, the basal cell carcinoma of the left temple. We excision the tumor, not in triangle but round form, and we do incision in the natural retragian area, and we take a flap, and we have you see comma flap is really the rhomboidal flap, and the shooter we have to remove the shooter, and we have see that the incision is incorporating the hair and the retragian natural fold. We observed complication, post-operative ecchymosis, ball appearance, but and for one patient we have a transient paralysis, and we have another patient partial necrosis of the flap. And this patient we have with an anticoagulant treatment. We have ecchymosis involving from eyelid and the cheek extended to down on the neck. See, the ecchymosis is very important ecchymosis, but spontaneously very aggressive, 12 days later. Ball appearance, we have sometimes we have like ball for this flap, and it's only exceptionally required to do the grazing. Patient and do not act quickly because spontaneous it can improve. 2 months later and 5 months later. We have in this patient we have transient left frontal paralysis. Excision, remove the tumor here, and you have transient paralysis for this for head, we inject toxin, botulinum toxin, and you have 10, 14 days and better appearance. It's the botulinum toxin and the service of pathology. That's this necrosis. We see this necrosis with only one flap, the excision basaltic calcium here, but the fault, because we take a flap from hair. It was better to take flap incision here and to take flap like this. It's error. You shouldn't do this. And the shooter was difficult and under tension, like you see here. Then what I have complication necrosis here, but spontaneous result about 4 weeks. Comma flap is easy to perform. Is economical in terms of lost skin and tissue, while still remaining carcinological. It offers more aesthetic repair at the shooter or inserted in the natural folds. Is good alternative for area with limited skin laxity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Turki. That was great. Anthony.
Thank you, Dr. Turki. It's a really interesting flap, and I feel like there's many areas that you can use this on the face and the body. Do you find you're doing it more so on the face and more so on the central face?
No, I do it in the central face only with the area I wash you now, not on center face.
Okay. And then any good tips to prevent like the distal necrosis or the distal or the tip necrosis?
I haven't the sepsis. No, and any sepsis in this technique.
Okay, yeah. And then, in the States, we don't really stop any blood thinners for Mohs surgery or for flaps. What's your practice there?
Excuse me, I don't understand.
Before surgery, for Mohs surgery, when we do it on the head and neck, we don't stop any blood thinners. But a lot of these patients are on blood thinners like aspirin or Coumadin. So we just want to make sure there's good, pressure on the wound afterwards and good meticulous in the faces.
Unfortunately, I haven't taken for Mohs surgery because I'm not in hospital. I'm only in the private practice. Then I haven't this technique or Mohs technique.
Okay, yeah. So you take just wider margins to start.
I take wider margin, and when is the I don't sometimes I don't take a flap immediately. I ask histological for 2 or 3 hours after.
Okay, so that's a really good point to just make sure we get the margins clean before flapping.
You said the margin, the histological. I have or a histological study, or I take because I take large margin. I have a good security. I haven't, and I never have a case with histological margin, histological touch.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Turki. Thank you, Anthony.